Hi friends, welcome to the Happy Hen Homestead, where I talk about all things homesteading, from chicken keeping to gardening to from scratch cooking. Today I'm going to make a Philly cheesesteak pasta. Okay, here are the items that I'm going to use. I have a pound of organic ground beef, some heavy cream. I typically like to use bone broth, but I don't have any right now, so I always keep this on hand, even though it's not my favorite. I know it has chemicals, but in a pinch, it'll work. And then I have my garlic, my onion, and I had a red pepper and a green pepper, and then my provolone cheese, and I'm gonna use egg noodles. You could use penne, you could use spaghetti, just whatever you wanted, but I thought this might add a nice texture to it. So I'll get all these things chopped up, the veggies chopped up and ready to go. I like to keep my, what are these called? Scraps, sorry, to put in my compost pile. So I cut my pepper in half. It says to thinly slice it in strips. So, whoop. I think I need to sharpen my knife, my other one. I have two other knives that are really good. One's sharpened and one's not, and this one looks like it needs to be sharpened as well. And, you know, I'm not the best chopper or slicer, but I can get the job done. You know, things don't have to be perfect. It's like you just do the best you can and go with it. Okay, so I'm gonna slice the rest of this up, and I'll slice up my green pepper and then my onion and garlic, and I'll bring you back. Okay, I've got my vegetables all chopped up. My pasta was started before I started cutting up all the vegetables. I'm going to brown my ground beef, get my flour, a few other ingredients that it calls for, and we'll put this dish together. I think it'll be good. So I just put my olive oil, it's heating up. Typically I like to use a cast iron skillet, but I am using my stainless steel today. But I wanted to share this olive oil. I don't know if you guys have gone down the olive oil rabbit hole, but I have, and I found this really good olive oil at Costco, and it is a first cold pressed olive oil, and you get 2 of these, which this is 34 fluid ounces for about $17. And so I thought this was a really good deal. I've been buying it every time I go. I like to keep a well-stocked pantry, and so every time I go, I just buy a 2-pack, and that way I have it and I don't run out. I know this is plastic, and I don't like to use plastic, but it really does help get the meat finely chopped up, and I do like that, so I'm using it. Okay, I've drained my ground beef. Of course, you may decide to use steak, and over kind of a medium heat, I'm going to throw in my onions. And you may need to add a little bit more oil if there wasn't enough left in the skillet. I actually think I will add a little bit more oil. And I used the last of my olive oil, so I'm using avocado oil. I have to go into my pantry and get the other, so this was just handy. I'll put that down for a little bit. I'm gonna go ahead and add in my bell pepper. The color is so pretty. You know, I am part Italian, and this reminds me of the Italian flag. Red, white, and green. I'm just going to let that saute for a little bit so it gets tender. You probably cook it for about 5 to 7 minutes, something like that. And that'll start spreading in a second. And of course, you know, all those little bits down there are just flavor. Adds so much flavor. Now, my son and daughter also love to cook. I come from a family of German, Italian, Scottish, and so on both sides of my family, we've always loved cooking. And so sometime I would like to get on here with my son and let him cook a meal for you, because he is an excellent cook, and my daughter is an excellent cook. And my daughter-in-law and my son-in-law are as well. Someone's at my door. I'll be right back. So I accidentally quit recording, but what I did is I added my butter and my flour and made a little roux, let it cook. Make sure you let the flour taste cook out. If it gets a little dark, that's no problem. It's usually better and makes it taste really, really good. Make sure you get all those bottom crunchy, crispy things off the bottom. And then I added my 2 cups of beef broth and stirred it around for a little bit. And then I added a cup of heavy whipping cream. And so now I'm just gonna let that cook a little bit and thicken up. And then I'll bring you back. I've not added salt yet, but I will at the end add the salt. So it's looking really yummy. All right, I'll bring you back in a second. Okay, so I think this is looking pretty good, pretty thick. So I'm gonna go ahead and add my cheese real quick. And like I said, the recipe calls for a cup of provolone and a cup of mozzarella, but I improvise a lot around here. I kind of just use whatever I have, substitute for whatever I think will work. And usually it turns out just fine. So I'm gonna melt this cheese. Oh my goodness. Now it looks amazing. So yummy. So after I get this cheese melted, I'm gonna put my ground beef back in there. And y'all, I mean, honestly, with the prices of groceries these days, I think ground beef in this recipe is gonna be fine. If you're trying to feed a family, steak is expensive. I mean, ground beef is expensive. So I think it's gonna be totally fine and will stretch a long way. So I think it's gonna be just fine with ground beef. So we're gonna let that slowly melt. And as it cools, you know, it'll thicken up even more. It smells so good. So I'm gonna add a little bit of salt. I do not like pepper, so I never add pepper to a dish, so my family always has to add pepper. I'm like, if I'm gonna cook it, I'm gonna cook it the way I like it. And they can add pepper, I can't take it out, so that's what I do. But I do love salt. Okay, so I'm gonna just let those flavors kind of meld together. And then I'm going to add the meat back in, and I drained it. And so it's been over there draining. So I'm gonna add the meat, all of that goodness. Yeah, I think it's gonna be fine. It looks like a Philly cheesesteak. I think the ground beef will be fine. So I'm gonna let that cook together. Oh gosh, y'all, that smells so delicious. So, so good. Okay, I'm going to turn the heat down, drain the pasta, and add it. And then we'll take a look at it. My grandkids are here. That was who was at my door. They live really close to me, and they come up all the time, which I love. I love having them here. So they're in there watching a movie of some sort. It looks like The Croods, but love when my grandkids are here. It just makes my heart happy. Okay, so I'm gonna get these noodles. Okay, I'm just gonna add the noodles. And these are egg noodles from Azure Standard. I like to buy in bulk. It's cheaper, they're organic, and they're really good. I really, really have liked them. So I'm just gonna incorporate all that. And like I said, once it cools, it'll thicken up a little bit. But I will bring you back after I have plated it up, and I'll taste it and tell you what I think. It looks good and it smells amazing. So, okay, I just plated up my pasta. There's a look at it. There's my little puppy, Mara. Hi, hon. So let's give it a taste and see how it is. And I would typically serve this with a salad and maybe some homemade bread, because I love homemade bread. But anyway, let's just give it a little taste. That's really good. It does have all the flavors of a Philly. It's creamy. Yeah, I think this is a keeper. Really, really delicious. So you might want to give it a try. It's super easy to make, pretty common ingredients. It can be made pretty clean with pretty clean ingredients. And so, yeah, I definitely think it's a keeper. So good. So, so good.